All right. Okay, welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Audie. So today, I am not in my usual spot. I'm outside of the state of Florida at the moment. We got this wonderful view in the background. You got this statue right here. For those who have actually been here, if you can figure it out, drop it in the link. Can you please, if you are able to kind of guess where I am, go ahead, take a guess, and let's see who can actually figure it out. I'm on a college campus, by the way. That's a hint. I'm on a college campus, and it's still in the U.S. Hint there. So today's topic is something that I feel as though everybody tend to kind of do on a daily basis, but we tend to not be conscious enough in terms of when we do it. And sometimes we do it just because it's something that we grew up in terms of doing, and at some point in our lives, we kind of forgot that we can do it to get things done in a way that we want it to be done. So today's topic is saying no. Yes, no itself is a complete sentence. Sometimes I feel as though every single one of us at one point in our lifetime is there. Okay, before I even get there, how many times has it been that someone has asked you to do something and you didn't want to do it, but because you did, you felt as though it was gonna hurt their feelings to say no. You said yes and ended up doing that particular task and regretting doing it. How many times has it been where someone has asked you to do something? Let's just say, for example, a friend asked you to go out to an event that you kind of wanted to go, but you didn't feel as though you wanted to go, but then you didn't know whether or not to say no or to say yes. If you say no, the fear of missing out, FOMO, would take into effect, and you felt as though you would have missed a good thing. But then, if you say yes and you went to the event, you probably end up having a good time, or you ended up like not really enjoying yourself at that particular event. So then, it's a give and take aspect of what is it that saying no is going to take into consideration when you actually give that response. So many times we find ourselves in those predicaments where saying no can kind of make us feel as though we are being mean to the people around us, and sometimes we find ourselves saying yes to things that we want to say no, and we tend to violate what is it that we wanted to accomplish, and then at the end of it, not necessarily feeling as though we should be or want to be at that particular event or doing the task that we said yes to. So saying no itself is a complete sentence. If you ask me to do something and I say no, I shouldn't have to explain myself. Sometimes we do end up explaining ourselves because the people we say no to want to know why. So my cousin, every single time she asks me, every time I think all of us have this interaction with the people we love and the people we care about, they say, can you do me a favor? Every time my cousin asks me if I could do her a favor, I always say no. And she said, but you haven't even heard what I said yet. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't want to do you a favor because I have so many other things I want to do. And I say, oh, anyways, let me tell you what it is I need the favor for. And then she will tell me, and I'll sit up saying no. But in me saying no, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that there is something else that needs my priority that I need to actually engage in that may not necessarily may not give me the opportunity for me to be able to do that thing that she asked me to do to the best of my ability. So me saying no is just me protecting her from undermining what it is that she want to do to the best of my ability, and also taking me away from something that I already engaged in and wanted to do. So perfect example, my entire life, I've always been the yes guy. I think in terms of people in terms of authority, those that are older than me, my parents, police officers, anybody in authority that's older than me, whenever they ask me to do something, in terms of me being nice and not, I always wanted to say yes. I always said yes. So, as of recent, back to the last story that I said, I think this is going to be the last installment in terms of this particular thing, but, in terms of experiences, they're going to have some tying to this particular aspect. So, my last experience, in terms of working, it came to the point where I figured, I was burnt out, which was the last topic. And then there were so many things that in terms of returning to the standard classroom that will be taken into consideration in terms of what they wanted us to do in terms of teachers. Things that, teachers tend to not necessarily have in their job description, but was added to the job description due to the pandemic. So when like I said in the one episode, when I first went in, they told me that they already exhausted the allocation for funding for paying teachers. And then so in a meeting, one of the administrators mentioned that, they hired some additional hands to help in terms of helping the kids stay away from each other when they transition between classes. And then I'm sitting here listening to all of these things. I'm like, but you guys, but anyways, I just was like thinking about it. And then when they actually came to the week before, they were saying that they were going to reopen class and let kids come in. They said that some of the kids would be able to come in and some of the kids would stay home and learn remotely. And then so one of the teachers asked questions like, can we actually teach freely as we would do in the traditional classroom? They said no, we would still have to teach behind a screen because some of those kids that are in the classroom will still have their computer and we'll be learning from you as you teach from a screen. And I'm like, this makes no sense. Why do I have to leave my house for me to actually go do the same thing in the classroom that I'm doing here? And I said, well, seeing that you guys are hiring new people in terms of doing this, why don't you just get one of the people to sit in the classroom and manage the student, because that's what you actually want me to do, is that I'm going to be in the classroom managing these students, but anybody can sit in the classroom managing students if they're behind a screen and someone else is doing the teaching. That's my logic. It don't have to make sense to everybody, but this is the way I see it. A lot of things didn't make sense in regards to what they said they was going to do, and I kind of questioned those things, and the question led to more question, and I didn't get the answers that I wanted. So therefore, this would lead to this particular incident. So the Tuesday before, the Tuesday came, and I sent a message to the principal in terms of, voicing some of the concerns I had in terms of the things that they were going to do for the kids returning to school. Mind you, in addition to that, they said that I was supposed to return when the district mandated that the kids return to school, but the district was planning on doing the week after they said that they wanted to come into school. And I was like, okay, well, since I'm supposed to be in the week after, let me just take this week in order for me to kind of see how things turn out and for me to actually make a decision about returning. So, I sent a message on Tuesday, and Tuesday I didn't get a reply. Wednesday I didn't get a reply. Finally on Thursday, I got a reply, and the reply wasn't in terms of my questions or my concerns. It was just like, are you available if I have a phone call during my lunch period? So I saw the message, I responded to it, I got a call. And then the head of school was on the next line, and she's like, Dr. B, I saw your message, and we just wanted to let you know that the kids are returning to school and all the other teachers are already planning on returning to school. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And then she said, seeing that you said the message, we want to know, are you going to be to school on Monday? And this was on Thursday, by the way. And I said, no. And she was like, when I said it, it's like when I usually say no, I have doubts in terms of saying no. But in this moment, when I said this no, it's like I felt as though that was the perfect response to that question, because all these concerns I had, they didn't give me any surety or any certainty that things were going to change or anything was going to be placed so that it would make me feel safe in terms of me putting myself in this particular risk. And I said, yes. I said no. And then she said, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not coming in on Monday. And then she's like, why are you not coming in? I was like, because the things that you guys put into place, I don't feel as though it's sustainable in terms of what it is that we are facing with this pandemic. And then she was like, well, why isn't it that you're not returning? And I was like, I didn't have an answer. She's like, well, she went on a little back and forth in terms of asking me certain questions and giving a response. But at the end of it, after she asked me again, I said, my answer still is no. And then, so she said, well, you have a decision to make. You have three options. Your option is that, you either come into school on Monday, which I already said I wasn't going to do. You either resign or you take a leave of absence. And I was like, what is a leave of absence? She's like, well, let's just, take a few weeks or so in order for you to determine what is it that you want to do, and then you come back in terms of when the time is up. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice. It's like, I just need a week or two for me to see how this thing work out in order for me to determine whether or not I want to put myself at this particular risk. And she's like, okay, well, before we came off the phone, she said, well, I'm going to send you the documents in order for you to fill out for this leave of absence, and please be reminded that you won't necessarily be paid during this leave. I was like, okay, well, I understand that, so therefore I just send the documents and I'll go ahead and fill them out. This was at lunchtime, 12 o'clock on Thursday. Going to class for my last period, which was a class that I really came to enjoy, even though I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. And the students just I don't know, we had an assignment that day where we did a project and we presented something, and they just blew me away in terms of what they did. And I was so encouraged and so very motivated in terms of what it is I was doing with these kids. And I was like, mother sick, this is what I want to do. It's like, I love seeing the students actually bring their creativity, bring their excitement, and bring their ideas to the plate, and then present it in a way that is coherent and understandable, and even thinking about future problems that they need to solve and things that they will be faced with in that generation, and trying to find solutions to those particular problems. And I was just sitting there, I was like, God damn, I wish I had something like this, and I wish I could do this every single day. And then, coming towards the end of the class, I got a message from the principal again saying, okay, well, they needed to call me again. And unfortunately, they said they wanted to call me like 8 p.m. at night, but I already had a prior engagement with a focus program that I usually work with, and they wanted me to give a talk about something that I experienced and try to motivate the kids in their program. And so I was like, I'm not going to be available during that time. But then he said, okay, well, how about at 3:30? I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be available between that time so for me to receive a call. So, set myself ready for receiving this call. And then he's like, oh, well, Dr. B, the guy came on the phone. He's like, well, Dr. B, the head of school is on the next line, and she has something she wants to say to you. And then, I checked my email before I went and received this call. And I noticed that I didn't receive this document for this leave of absence. I was sitting there excited to kind of hear what they got to say. And then, she came on the line. She's like, well, after speaking with my heads, my whatever she mentioned is like the authorities or whatever is upper hierarchy and whatever it is for the school, he's like, we're gonna have to let you go. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, we're gonna have to let you go, and we're firing you. I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. I just said okay, and it's like, I don't even know. It's like I said okay, and then she's like, well, we just want to wish you the best of luck, and all well in the future. And I was like, yeah, thank you very much. I wish the school the best of luck as well in terms of their future endeavor. Thank you guys for the opportunity as well. And and I said, thank you. And she just hung up the phone. No, she didn't hang up the phone. She said, well, just make sure you return our laptops and our equipment to the school. And at first, before I got the final call in the previous call, she said, we don't want you to send the laptop via FedEx or shipping for us to receive it because it may be damaged. But then after they fired me, they said, okay, well, just send the stuff via FedEx. We'll just accept it that way. I was like, all right, bet. And I came up the phone, and I hanged up the phone, and I sat there, and I was like, oh. I sat there, and it's like, after it happened, it's like you don't realize what happened during the moment it happened. And then after it happened, I just sat there, and I was like, and my body, I was like, I just got fired again. Again. And I was like, you know what? I realized this thing is there's no way that this thing is gonna come. It's gonna come to a point where they're gonna call me back. So I just might as well just go ahead and accept it. And it's like I sat there, and my entire body was just trembling. It's like, what is going on? It's like I watched my hand, and my hand was just like this trembling, and my entire body was in like in a shock from not believing what just happened. And I was like, after I had such a wonderful day with these kids, and it's like they just came right there and just ripped this entire thing from under me, and it's like, what do I do now? And the entire time, all I could think about was like, how is it that these kids are going to be affected by them letting me go? What is going to happen to these kids? And how is it that they're going to perceive or what it is they're going to tell these kids in regards to what happened? And what is it that the kids are going to perceive? It's like I didn't care anything about what the adults were thinking in terms of that. I just was concerned about the well-being of those kids and the relationship that I managed to build with them and the motivation and what I actually talked to them about outside of the classroom in terms of the content that I was teaching. And I was like, God damn, it's like, this is what's wrong with adults. It's like we do these things, and myself included, we do these things and not necessarily look at the effect that it's going to have on the kids. And the entire time, all I was thinking about is how are these kids going to be impacted by this decision that was made, and me trying to make sure that I could stay in a position for me to be safe enough to help to impact them as long as possible and for them to grow as best as they can. And so, yeah, it's like after they decided to do it, I was like, well, even though I was in shock, it's like that was the best no I ever said in my entire life. That was the best no. It's like it wasn't a no in terms of, I didn't want to do this. It was a no in terms of I just wanted to still be able to do what I wanted to do, but from afar. And in terms of having this leave of absence, I still wanted to teach even though they wasn't going to pay me because I still wanted to do what it is I was doing. And for them to just kind of rip it away from me and just say, okay, well, we're just going to take everything away from you. And because it's like, you just don't want to do this one thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this one thing because I want to continue doing what I'm doing for a long period of time and not necessarily put myself at a position where I can short myself and the students and society at large from what is it I can actually offer it. And so, yeah, a no. Sometimes a no is all you need. A no is a sentence of itself. It doesn't need an explanation, especially if it's coming from a place of where you think about the outcome of the decision on you in the long run, not in the short run. We all look at our decision in terms of what it can have in this particular now or this short aspect of it. But if you are in the moment in terms of this now and looking at things from a non-judgmental, a non-malice way, then sometimes a no is all you need. And sometimes within that no, you find so much more light and so much more meaning in your entire life from just saying a no. And I think after I said that no, everything else around me started to make sense after they fired me. And it's like I started to kind of see what is it I needed to do in order for me to actually find the best way to help those around me. I think in starting Tuesdays with Audie right before I got fired, that was one way. And also trying to find those students that they impacted me, and in return I impacted them, and trying to talk to their parents and seeing how best I can help continue to impact those kids and help them to achieve what it is that they can achieve from what I saw within them. And trying to not let that fire that they had at an early age kind of dwindle from having so much nonsense and so much noise added to their life and to lose out in terms of what the focus is that they want to accomplish. And so yeah, no. It's a complete sentence. So guys, I'm not going to say you go ahead and do these things with your job and your livelihood, but I think in terms of the position that I was in, me saying a no was all that would suffice for me to actually be and do the things that work well for me in the long run. You know, maybe this is just the ending of a wonderful, relationship that's going to spark something even better. Maybe that was the ending of a relationship that's going to put me on this, downward spiral. But at the end of it, you don't know what is going to happen until you have made a decision and see how best you can impact that decision to lead you somewhere that's going to be beneficial for you and everybody else around you. So yeah, that's Tuesdays with Audie. Thank you guys for tuning in. With that said, Audie, deuces, peace, love, and enjoyment until the next one. Take a guess, where am I? You see that building in the back? I don't know what it is, but nonetheless, I'm on a college campus. Take a guess, drop it in the comment, and let's see if someone can figure out where I am today. Audie!